Next topic we will see. So what are the methods we have to print exception information? Okay, methods to print exception information, guys. Exception information. What are the methods we have to print exception information? Okay, so here. Now let me go to the example here. See here we have an example, right? So arithmetic exception, right? Get student info. Okay. Now let me write what? Null pointer exception. Here null pointer exception, right? We are getting. So now null pointer exception. Right? So we are handling null pointer exception. Fine. So now here what I'm doing, here I'm writing. Okay. Null pointer exception. How to handle this null pointer exception? Okay, something I'm writing here. S is equal to new student. Right. After that, what I'm calling? S dot get student info. Right? Come on, guys. So now here see, this is what? Exception handling logic. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. So now here what I'm doing, what I want to tell. Yeah. Information, right? So no, fine. So now here, so if I execute this program, what will happen, guys? Okay. So we'll get output stmt1 statement 1 will execute, and after that s dot get student info, the null pointer exception will trigger and the corresponding catch block will execute. Here s is equal to new student, we are assigning real student object to s, and after that by using object reference variable we are calling get student info, right? Vignesh and he is from CSC branch, like that it will print, and after that statement 2 also will print, right? So now let me execute this one. So Java C, what is the error, guys? Cannot find symbol catch. Okay, null pointer exception. I think spelling mistake. P capital. Okay, null pointer exception. Null pointer exception. Fine. So no. Right? Now Java. See what is the output here? Statement 1, Vignesh, and he is from CSC branch, and statement 2. Right? Even graceful termination of the program. Am I right or wrong? So even here, while executing this program, do you see an exception? Yes, there is an exception, but we handle that exception. So that's what finally we are seeing what normal termination of the program instead abnormal, right? So now I want to see the exception information. Yes, finally we are achieving what? Graceful termination only. But here what? There is a exception. There is a mistake in our code. So that's what we are having what? Exception, right? So we need to see what kind of exception it is. Am I right or wrong? So we are providing alternate way, but we need to fix that exception, right? Actually, we should not have what exceptions. So why we are keeping exceptions, guys? To achieve graceful termination of the program instead of abnormal. But always we should not get what? Exceptions. Exception handling logic means what? Let's suppose if you have an exception, how to handle? That is what second scenario. But first of all, what we have to do? We should not get any kind of exceptions. In that way, you have to write the program. Somehow something is happening by mistakenly. So that time there should be a handling logic. So if you have a handling logic, then your program will be graceful termination in order to avoid abnormal termination. For that reason only we are handling exceptions, right? But now, if any exception is raising, so here see, so do we see that exception related information here? We don't know.
Sir.
So what we are thinking, I think the program will be executed normally. So that's what we will see the proper output here. Am I right or wrong? But here, what we need to know, we need to know whether that exception is raising or not, right? So for that reason, what we need to do, what we need to do, so there is a methods, guys. there is a methods, right? So there is a methods in exception object. Okay, there is a few methods in exception class. What are those methods? Print stack trace, toString method, get message method. Okay, so throwable class, sorry, not exception class case. What is the root class for exception hierarchy? Throwable, right? The throwable class defines the following three methods, guys, to print what? Exception information. Right here we are you see any exception information? Even exception is raising, we are not able to see any exception information, right? So now we have to see the exception information. If any exception is raising, we have to see that exception information, right? How to see that exception information, right? To see that exception information, we have three methods which are defined in throwable class. What are those three methods, guys? Okay, the first one is here. Let me write those. To see exception information in throwable class, we have three methods. Okay, what are those three methods, guys? The first one is print stack trace. The second one is, okay, print stack trace. The second one is toString method. The third one is get message. These are the three methods we have. Okay, so now by using these three methods, we can see what, guys? Exception information. Okay, so now see here. So while executing this program, do we see any exception information? We did not see. Even exception is raising, even though, but we are not able to see that exception information, right? So now, how to see that exception information now? Okay, so null pointer exception we have. So null pointer exception is child class for throwable class or not? Tell me, guys, null pointer exception.
Child class, sir.
Child class, right? So what is the root class for all the exception hierarchy classes?
Throwable.
Throwable is the super class, right? Throwable is the super class means what? What the methods which are available in super class by default available into child class or not?
Yes, sir.
So by using child class object, we can call those methods or not? Please remember the polymorphism.
Yes, sir, we can call.
Right, we can call. So that's what here by using ex dot, I'm calling what, guys? Print stack trace. Print stack trace, where it is available? This method, in which class it is available? Throwable class it is available. Okay, but null pointer exception is child class for throwable class. So all the functionalities, all the properties and methods which are available in super class by default available into whom, guys? Child class. Is a relationship. Okay, inheritance. Please remember, please revise the concepts, right? So now by using child class object, can I call the print stack trace method? Now print stack trace method is available in null pointer exception class also, null pointer exception object also. So that's what directly I can call that method by using that null pointer exception class object, right? Here ex is what, guys? Null pointer exception object reference, right? So that's what ex dot print stack trace. Come on, can I call or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now see, if you call this print stack trace methods, what is the purpose of print stack trace method, guys? It will give you the information of that exception, right? So now see, if I execute this program, Java C, compilation done, now executing. See what it is saying? Statement 1, java.lang.null pointer exception cannot invoke student.getStudentInfo because exception handling.s is null at exception handling.main. See here, if you see the exception information, right, it is same format of default exception handler, right? The default exception handler, it will print that exception information in the console or not? What is the format for default exception handler? Name of the exception colon, description of the exception, after that stack trace of the exception. Here see, same thing, name of the exception colon, description of the exception, after that stack trace of the exception, right? So now default exception handler will call this print stack trace method to print the information into the console. Understand? Internally, the default exception handler, which method it will call to print the exception information into the console? Print stack trace method.
Print stack trace.
Understand? CRC.
Yes, sir.
Now I'm calling what? Print stack trace method. If you call print stack trace method, you will see the exception information in the following format. What is the following format here? Name of the exception, description of the exception, and stack trace of the exception. Understand? Now see here, see here, graceful termination or abnormal termination?
Graceful.
Graceful only. See here, statement 1 we see, and Vignesh and he is from CSC branch also we see, and statement 2 also we see. I mean, graceful termination. But in addition to that, we want to see the exception information. So how can we see the exception information? By calling one of the exception information related method, which are defined in throwable class. Clear everyone? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Come on guys, tell me.
Yes,
Clear?
sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now instead of this is what guys, print stack trace method. Now instead of print stack trace method, we will see what next method. What is the next method? ToString method, right? System.out.println. System.out.println. Without printing, how can you get guys? System.out.println. ex.ToString method. Okay. So now let me go execute Java C Java. See, now we are getting statement 1 java.lang.nullPointer exception cannot invoke student.getStudentInfo. See here, what we are getting? Only name of the exception and description of the exception. See in this. If you see here, the previous output, here we are getting what? Even stack trace of the program. Okay, stack trace of the exception. But in this case, we are not getting any, we are not seeing any stack trace of the exception. Clear? So now, now we will call what? Let me print. Let me comment this one. Let me call what, guys? Get message. ex dot get message. Okay, ex dot get message method. Next method I'm calling, guys. How many methods we have? Print stack trace, ToString method, get message method, right? Now I'm calling what? Get message method. Now we will see. Java C compilation done. See now, cannot invoke. See here, which message you are seeing? Only description of the message. Understand? See here, we are not seeing any name of the exception. Also, we are not seeing stack trace of the exception. Also, we are not seeing. Okay, only we are seeing what? Description of the exception. So now, what is the difference between print stack trace method and ToString method and get message method? Okay, clear? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
If anyone asks, what is the difference between print stack trace method and ToString method and get message method? You guys should be in the position to tell the right answer. Let me take method. Okay, and here what? Format, right? Exception information format. Exception information format. Okay, now tell me what is the first method? Print stack trace. Okay, by calling print stack trace method, what you will see, guys, here? First, the name of the exception. Okay, name of the exception colon description of the exception. Next one is what, guys? Stack trace. Stack trace. Okay, stack trace of the exception. right? So next one, let me copy this. There what? This result for what, guys? Next method, toString method, right? For toString method, what is the format, guys? Name of the exception and description of the exception, right? What is the next method we have? Get message method. So for get message method, what it is showing, what is the format? Only description of the
exception.
Description of the exception. Clear, everyone? Okay. So what are the methods we have and what is the purpose of each and every method? So default exception handler, which method it will use internally to print exception information, guys? Always print stack trace method. Okay. The default exception handler, internally it will use what? Print stack trace method to print exception information into the console. Okay. Clear, everyone? Any
Yes,
questions to the topic?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So next tomorrow we will see the other things on exception handling, guys. If you have any questions, you can ask me now.